Welcome to the Growlers and Gremlins podcast, an alcoholic adventure in cryptids, paranormal, and the occult. Coming to you weekly from the heartland of America.
Welcome to Growlers and Gremlins. I'm John, and with me to my right I have
Brian.
And across from me,
Jason, the analyst.
And returning once again,
Jesse.
The Jesse. Yep.
The Jesse.
But plan B for plan
B.
No, he's plan A today. But
He's actually intentionally here for once.
yeah. So our beer of the week this week is from Horny Goat Brewing Company in La Crosse, Wisconsin. We've got the chocolate peanut butter porter.
That's so weird. You said it as one word. It's even listed peanut butter, two separate words.
Yeah, you just don't say it that way.
Go on, I gotta have some callbacks.
Like no one. No one says no one.
William Shatner does.
Well, William Shatner doesn't know how to talk.
He's got a very weird cadence.
I
to the
hope
way
you're
he
hungry
speaks.
because this beer is a meal.
Oh, really?
I think I should have rolled it
The
around.
only
in the can.
downside is that you can really taste the can.
Yeah.
Like in a glass, this is amazing, but
What if I dump it into a glass now? Is the can flavor still there?
yes,
I feel like I'm drinking a Reese's.
yes.
I taste the porter more than anything, but I don't know if that's just because I let the can sit.
It's got the most peanut butter flavor of any like chocolate peanut butter beer I've had.
COVID.
I think my palate is stained by my Fruity Pebbles candy bar. Because it's like a weird mixture of both of them.
That and you always got half a can of Coke in your lip.
God, I saw somebody do that with a Bud Light, and they just drank through like a horseshoe.
Oh,
It's a collective flavor thing.
That's
it's just
so
like you're
disgusting.
getting it all. You're getting it all in there.
Not when he started
Makes his
hacking
own
up
thing.
and threw up the horseshoe.
Well, you know,
So it's like being around John's dad.
yeah.
you can't win them all.
Chewing, dipping, whatever you want to call it, is so disgusting.
Does your dad dip?
Yeah,
Really?
he has my whole life.
I've never seen him with dip.
Because he's clean about it. He's not a hillbilly with a huge wad in his lip and spitting it everywhere.
Oh, well, I've never seen him with like a spit cup or anything.
Oh, he's always got spit cups and bottles.
Yeah.
They are everywhere, all over his
the
desk.
office. Yeah.
I left that part.
One
of my
time,
nicotine
he was
addiction
using
behind.
a peach tea Snapple bottle. And my mom thought it was her peach tea Snapple bottle and picked it up and drank a nice big gulp of his
Then
spit.
threw up.
Yeah, and then threw up.
My dad did that once with me.
Oh, that's so gross. With you?
With me, yeah.
You drank it?
So no, we were on our way to. Okay, real quick story. We're on our way to Bike Week. He's asleep in the
Bike Week?
Bike Week.
Bike Week.
Daytona Bike Week.
Yeah, you said
Yeah.
Bike Week.
Did I?
Yeah.
Oh. Anyway, he's asleep in the passenger seat. I've been driving for probably about 6 hours, dipping, spitting everything in a water bottle. He wakes up because of course he's uncomfortable, grabs the first water bottle, not thinking about it, grabs a water bottle that I've been spitting in, takes a drink and just spits it all over the windshield of the truck. I thought he was gonna kill me. Like,
How is that your fault? How is that in any way your fault?
well, because dad hates all
He
that shit.
should have swerved the truck and taken you both out at once. Like, no one needed to live through that.
Yeah, but they had the bikes though.
Oh,
You couldn't
fuck.
risk it.
Oh fuck, he was so mad. I mean, I did feel bad. I was like,
It's not your fault.
Yeah, pay
He's the one who
attention.
didn't look at the bottle he picked up.
Yeah, but he was like, "You motherfucker," and you're just chewing and shit and nasty.
Well, yeah, it is disgusting.
Did you put in like a big old one and just let it drool out the other side while you were doing it?
No,
You should have done that. Just held it there while it just ran down.
I just gripped the steering wheel as hard as I could and just kept looking forward, like just waiting to get
punch in the
punched
face.
in the face.
It's coming. Keep straight on the road.
He was dead silent, and I knew he was just fuming.
So, what I want to talk
How dare
about this
you,
week is in one of Brian's favorite areas,
Russia?
Eastern Indiana, near Cincinnati.
Fuck you.
So, out down 74, actually, as if you're going to Cincinnati, right before the Ohio border, there is a very, very small town called Metamora. Metamora, as of 2019, has a population of 151 people.
And let me guess, 80 of them got murdered and nobody said anything to the cops.
No. It's just a small historic town. It's on a canal that used to be like a shipping canal. And so they have like this beautiful little downtown that's super tiny, and it's kind of touristy now, but it's still just a super tiny town that like nobody lives in. Well, outside of the town, about a mile down the road on State Road 52, on top of a hill, you can see what looks like a medieval castle. And it's just up there all alone, and then there's a giant...
Fuck. Okay, I know what this is.
You do?
I do. You told me about it.
Ah, maybe I did. There's a giant cross up there next to it. And it's just pretty mysterious. There's not much out there about it, and what you can find is basically just that some eccentric guy built it, and most of the locals, they know, who the guy is, that he built it, whatever, and they just don't seem to be all that interested in it at all. But in the town, there is a Metamora Museum of Oddities, and there is a sign on the door that says, "Warning, this place is haunted. There have been, I can't remember exactly the wording of the sign, but it basically says there's been known to be a lot of paranormal activity in this building because of some of the objects inside it." And this museum is owned by a man named Robert Hendricks. Robert Hendricks also calls himself Indiana Joe.
No.
Like shit. Indiana Jones.
Does he travel the world getting artifacts and stuff? Yes.
In the museum, he has all kinds of things. He has like human remains. He has shrunken heads. He's got like gemstones and just artwork and all kinds of weird stuff. And it's all like looted. And it was mostly from his time in the Peace Corps. He was in Venezuela for a while, went a few other places, and he would get permission from the locals to just dig around and see what he could find. And supposedly he found quite a bit of things.
How many villages did he wipe out to get some of this stuff?
None. It was just a guy, like, in the Peace Corps and digging for fun.
Digging for fun? Finding gemstones?
Yeah, all kinds of things.
Not killing villages?
No. But of all of the things in the museum, his most prized possession is the Healing Cross of Metamora. This is a 5-foot tall wood and mother of pearl cross that's like extremely elaborate. It's a sculpture with like all these different scenes from the Bible on it and everything. And he claims that it also has 13 relics on it, which a relic in Catholicism means that it is a piece of a saint. So like when a saint dies, any part of their body or piece of their bones, it's considered a relic and considered to have like magic powers. So he claims that this cross has healing powers, and you can go to the museum and see it and pray around it or whatever. But this cross is supposedly 600 to 700 years old. And the story is, according to him, and nobody's really been able to verify whether it's right or wrong, and he has said that if there is anyone in the world that has a legitimate claim to this cross, he'll give it to them. Because it's awfully strange that it ended up where it did. So, according to Robert Hendricks, this cross was found in Paris, or not Paris, just France generally. It's found somewhere in France behind a fake wall by the military in World War II, as, one of those hidden Nazi things that they stole a bunch of artwork and hid it. And so these guys found it, and they shipped it back home, and we're like, we're going to keep it. So then, in 1976, these guys that had found it, they decided to sell it. And they sold it to a man named Hans Lindemann, who owned a museum of oddities and curiosities in San Diego. Well, Hans Lindemann, supposedly, he was a close friend of Robert Hendricks, and he denied that it was bought from soldiers and that it was from World War II. He said that it was given to him by someone in Africa. Now, no one knows if that's the truth or if he is just covering up that because, maybe someone might try to claim it. And Robert Hendricks says that he was actually there when the sale took place, and he knows, that he got it from these guys. So Hans Lindemann passed away in the 80s, I believe. Maybe the 90s, but afterwards, Robert Hendricks bought the cross from his widow. And he won't say how much he paid for it, but supposedly it was everything he had minus $100. So... no one knows what that is. I mean, Robert Hendricks is a retired teacher.
$300.
Probably didn't have a ton of money. But so this thing is his prized possession. He's brought it back to this museum. Well, not only does he have this cross, and he believes this cross has magic powers, but he also believes that he is in possession of the Ark of the Covenant. I'm serious. This guy believes that he has the Ark of the Covenant.
Well, we know that's not true. The government has it in a warehouse somewhere.
We don't know that. But this is where it gets really interesting. In 2004, he bought this piece of property outside of town, this big hill, and he started building a castle. And the castle it's essentially like a church. And there's nothing that goes on there now. He doesn't even own it anymore. It's been sold, and whoever owns it now doesn't use it for anything. During the time he owned it, it was actually used for a few weddings, things like that. It was just kind of a event venue for the most part, just to kind of keep it open.
Yeah, bitchin'.
But the purpose of it was to be used as a refuge in the apocalypse. And not like a doomsday bunker, but because he was in possession of the Ark of the Covenant, he would decide when the world ends. And this would be a place where people could come to be safe. And he claims that there's a network of, people he knows that have also built these castles around the country that are going to be places of refuge for, people of faith, and they can be safe there and ride out the calamity at the end of the world.
I'm not hugely knowledgeable when it comes to religion, but I thought the whole rapture started with the saved people being
ascending to heaven.
Ascending to heaven. Why do they need a safe place?
No, there's a bad period before that happens.
I thought the whole point was they were supposed to be spared of that, but I don't know.
No, there's like a period of time, because I think initially, I'd have to go over this again, but initially I believe it's the dead that are raptured, and then there's like a 7-year period of what they call the trials and tribulations.
The downfall. Yeah,
it's a bad time, and then there's another rapture, and then there's like, a war and all this, but anyway, the point is...
Oh my God, John.
This guy claims that inside the Ark of the Covenant are 2 relic stones. That's what he calls them, and they're magic. So, he believes that before the death of Jesus, there was an open portal to heaven on earth. And when we killed Jesus, we closed the portal and put these relic stones that open the portal into the Ark of the Covenant and sealed it up. So, someday, someone can open the Ark of the Covenant, pull out these 2 relic stones, and reopen a portal to heaven and summon Jesus back and cause the end of the world.
So he believes that this cross that he has is the Ark of the Covenant?
No, he believes the cross has healing powers and will protect people in the end, inside of his castle. But he does also believe that he has the Ark of the Covenant, and at some point, he will open it, and he will reopen a portal to heaven and start the apocalypse.
So it looks like we're packing up and going to Metamora.
I was thinking that we should actually go sometime and maybe do a follow-up episode, because the museum is still open. He runs it. He owns it. He's still there. We can talk to him.
Sounds like we need to do a meet and greet.
so far, the only things really out there online is a guy by the name of Logan Moeller, who actually graduated from Ball State. So he's an Indiana. Well, actually, I don't think he's an Indiana native. But anyway, he went there and he kind of befriended this guy and did some interviews with him. And he posted a blog post about it online. And then he was planning to kind of like shoot a little documentary about the guy. But as far as he got was getting a trailer done, and it just kind of fell apart. And
he should have used Kickstarter.
He may have. I don't know. This was like 2012. But, you know, the plan was to film the end of the world. That they were going to shoot this documentary, and this guy was going to open the portal to heaven and, you know, start the end.
Of course, he probably didn't want to go through with that because, you know, what if it didn't do anything?
Well, supposedly, there were a lot more stories years ago when I looked into this, and they've been really hard to track down. But supposedly what happened is it didn't work. It did not cause the end of the world. Nothing really happened. But weird things continue to happen there. Like, some random lady showed up there and, like, had like some kind of weird abilities, and like there was a whole thing about it, and I believe it was actually on a website for the castle that was running at one point, but I have not been able to find it again. But it's really weird because this guy says that ever since these possessions came to him, the cross, the Ark of the Covenant, all these things, that like really weird things have happened to him in his life. And so far, all of these claims he makes about like, oh, I was here when this happened, or this happened to me, people have been able to verify.
Oh.
Like, he was in DC on 9/11 and saw the Pentagon get hit. And they were like, oh, yeah. Well, sure enough, they found a newspaper article where they were interviewing retired school teacher Robert Hendricks, who witnessed it. And it's just interesting. He just tends to always be where things are going on. Supposedly he also has a world record in speed walking.
I say, it sounds like he needs to go home and stay there.
He's like 70 something now. But just incredibly interesting person. Like,
Must
just
be
thinking that,
coincidence.
like, this guy's out there, we could go talk to him.
Yeah.
I just thought that was an interesting perspective, the idea that what's changed in the world is that there used to be a portal between two worlds, basically, between heaven and earth. And then we closed it, but it's going to reopen again. I never thought of it that way. Like, what if there used to be like some portal between two universes that, you know, like ancient aliens, things like that? What if there was just a portal back and forth that somebody was traveling through, and now it's closed, but it'll be reopened again?
So we are to believe that
The Bifrost.
Yeah. Anybody else seen Thor 2, The Dark World?
Yes.
regrettably,
The Dark
Thor
World?
Ragnarok,
My
or
favorite.
Thor.
Thor's my favorite.
so we're to believe that the Almighty that created our existence is being kept at bay because we closed the door.
Sure, why not?
All right, cool. All right.
I mean, why not? He let us kill him.
Well,
Why not make it some kind of weird symbolic thing, you know, that we have to open a portal or something? Who knows?
I mean, we killed his like stand-in or his stand or whatever, but
His son.
It's son.
yeah. Well, I mean, it was a projection
proxy.
of himself. It
What up,
wasn't.
God?
It depends on where you sit on that, because it was, you know, if you follow the religious side of it, it was him.
Well, yeah. The Holy
So,
Trinity, the Father, the Son, and the Holy
yeah.
Ghost. Yeah.
It's not a projection, it is.
God is dead and
It's
we
a little
killed
more
him.
complicated, but like, yeah, I mean, that right there was unnecessary symbolism. You know, there was no reason
Right.
to do that. So, like, why not make a portal and put it in the Ark of the Covenant and make sure some weird guy in a tiny town finds it? And, you know, who knows? Maybe the world is going to end when this guy opens this box. Maybe he already did. Nothing happened. Who knows?
Maybe he just doesn't have enough stones.
Yeah, maybe there's more stones.
He's got to build a gauntlet too.
Yeah.
He has 2 stones.
He has to find all the Infinity Stones.
Yeah, there should be like 7 of them.
All the relic stones.
Yeah.
We should help him.
But I mean, really, it's just incredibly interesting. Like,
Hey,
you wouldn't think anything. You drive through this little town, and it's just like
maybe the Infinity Stones were based off of these relic stones.
maybe. Why is it that in like every piece of like fantasy literature that there's just like
These-
5 to 7 of these things that you gotta find, or they're like a seal that's keeping something closed? What if he needs to break the stones?
With a hammer?
It's usually in like games and stories, it's padding, right? I mean,
Because like, isn't
how short would Ocarina of Time been if you didn't have to collect the
I have no
seven
idea.
sages?
because aren't I mean,
Like Harry Potter.
I know nothing about Dragon Ball, but isn't the Dragon Balls like
In almost
have to
everything, there's
collect.
like power items that
yeah?
But Jesse, they can collect those in like an afternoon.
Okay, well, like I said,
Eventually, it got to that point. It seemed like, yeah.
They could take it's a day trip for them to go around and get all the Dragon
like I
Balls.
said, I know nothing about Dragon Ball,
Which
but
is why I
just-
never understood why they weren't making wishes like every other day. We got the dragon radar. Where'd it go? Somebody's making a wish.
he's got a maybe the cross with these relics. Maybe that's the Infinity Gauntlet,
no, it could
and
be.
he has to keep collecting stones for the cross.
But yeah, this just to me, it was something I've been wanting to talk about for a while, because this is one of the only things that we'll come across in this podcast, like that we talk about, that you can actually just go and verify yourself any day. You could just go there, go to the museum, meet this guy, see this cross, and go see this castle.
What if we go down
Yeah,
there
when
and
this
this
is a
is
real-
inexplicably
Well,
murdered?
it's a couple
A
hours
real
away.
story in progress. Like, it's still
It's only
there.
it's only a couple hours away. We could go there.
Couple
it is.
hours?
Yeah, it's only like 2 hours,
I was gonna say it's not.
if
it's
that.
like-
It's not
like-
very far.
yeah, it's like driving to Crawfordsville and back.
No.
No,
Now, is there anything unusual about the construction of the castle? I thought you mentioned something about that before. Isn't it like just like a cinder block castle?
Yeah, it's basically, I mean, it's the cheapest way one would construct a castle in the modern age. It's basically like cinder block.
Concrete.
There has been an addition to it in later years. The tower on the castle was not always there.
Mhm.
It used to just be like the 2 main pieces, and then sometime in the recent years they added a tower.
Okay. So his intention is for people to wait out this like 7 years of suffering
Yeah, in his
in a
refuge.
cinder block castle.
Yeah. Well, so it's not so much that it's safe because of its structural integrity, but because of the magic things that are there. Like, at one point, there was actually, at the base of the hill, he had his museum there. And it was in like a shed. And this Logan Muller, who went there, he was meeting with him weekly, and they were talking and things, and apparently the first time he went there, he like led him into this little shed museum thing, and he goes, "I'm just gonna leave you with this," and like walked away.
like
And he's like, "There's all these like voodoo dolls and shrunken heads in here," and it was really creepy. And he's like, and then I started smelling something, and I thought maybe he was gassing the room, and so I just ran off, and I had no intention of ever calling him back. And but then like he's got voicemails from him where he's like, maybe it was just me like smelling something, and
yeah.
I don't think this guy would have gassed the room. I don't think there's any
Malicious intent.
malicious intent in this guy. I think he's just like a true believer, you know what I mean? And he's got his own idea about the way things are supposed to be. Like what was his name? What's the name of Waco guy?
Which one? The leader?
Yeah.
I don't fucking know.
Hey, what's Waco guy's name? Yeah, you.
Attenborough.
David what?
Attenborough.
David Koresh. That's right. So it's kind of like David Koresh had these ideas about the apocalypse, the end of the world. He sort of had a similar thing going on with Waco. That was going to be like their refuge, and he believed that there were like 7 seals that needed to be opened before, the end of the world. But he also believed he was the 7th seal. But it's just interesting. It's like a similar line of thinking with this Robert Hendricks. That
The idea of come to me, and my
I'll keep
flock,
you safe. And there's, obviously it's seals or stones. There's a portal. The idea that there's like a portal that needs to be opened for the end of the world. And the funny thing about these people is you hear that and you're like, oh, that's crazy. But I guarantee if you sit down with these people and they got their Bible, you know, they could like probably go through like different verses and stuff and convince you that like they're right. And you'd be like, whoa, I never noticed that, you know, because like that's the basis for all of this. These people, they'll, you know, read the Bible and get some really strange ideas. It's just a different interpretation. And it's like, well, who knows? Who knows who's right?
Right. What if these are just anomalous objects in the simulation and you bring them together and it crashes the simulation?
Who knows?
Maybe Brian's the stone, the last stone.
Oh. We get Brian to Metamora. We walk him to the top of the hill, and then the sky just tears open, and you hear like this zipping noise.
Zip like a
And then we're like, oh,
like a sleeping bag.
Not today.
Like, damn it.
It's like somebody opening a sleeping bag.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking of.
And for the last time, we'd be like, damn it, Brian.
But we'd still have 7 years to edit and post the podcast before everything was gone. But
yeah, it's not like infrastructure is going to disappear just because the sky got torn open and demons are coming out.
But yeah, it's just, I think that would be, you know, we've talked about doing like a trip to something just to get some more info. And that's something I would really like to do, is go and just talk to this guy, because I almost reached out to Logan Mueller today, but his social media profiles had not been updated in a while, so I was like, who knows if the account's even active anymore. I'm not going to bother.
Right.
But I mean, I did find him. He's real. And just an interesting story that's just like a total dead end. It's like is it a dead end or just a complete story? Oh, seriously, no, it's not. It's an incomplete story. And it's like, if you Google this castle, there's like 2 relevant results.
Well, we've also had issues with Google in the past.
Well, that's true. I really should have DuckDuckGo'd it.
Yeah.
You have a phone.
Yeah, that would have been good. But
when I'm researching now, I don't use Google because it seems like they hide too much. There's some sort of suppression going on there.
Yeah. But I don't know. It was just upsetting because there were so many other stories from there that I had found years ago, like of crazy paranormal events that have happened at this castle.
I was about to say, it's like you're saying this place is haunted, and it's like, what are the stories there? What has happened?
I don't know. But it's really interesting. Like, this guy, the guy who runs this museum and who owned the castle, he doesn't have any sort of social media or anything like that.
Well, he's also 73.
Yeah, some of the neighboring businesses will sometimes post things on Facebook on his behalf. And a lot of time, basically, it's always like in reference to the Healing Cross. Like, he's always asking them to post about the Healing Cross and like that people are welcome to come and, you know, pray at the Healing Cross.
Can I touch it?
He sells photos of it.
I don't want a photo. I want to touch it.
Like,
that's just because your foot hurts right now.
No.
Yeah, it's interesting. Like, I went to the town before. This is where I saw the castle and the museum in the first place, but I didn't go in the museum because it wasn't open that day. So, But I mean, even if we don't get a chance, it's a nice little trip to go on. There's like a little popcorn place, and I think there might be a brewery down there now.
Good little day trip.
It is. It's a really pretty town. It's super nice. You can actually go on a horse-drawn canal ride.
Down the shipping canal?
Yeah.
Wouldn't the horse get wet?
On the sides.
I know.
But I'm going to just real quick, before we go anywhere, I'm going to DuckDuckGo this thing.
Okay, so
60,000 results.
Yeah, like, who knows?
So what the prevailing theory is that these artifacts, these relics, somehow draw in paranormal activity, or that it's completely unrelated because this guy seems to be in the right place at the right time. He just happened to pick a haunted location. Like, what's the theory there?
The location is not haunted. It's because of the artifacts within the building.
It draws in paranormal.
No, there's nothing extra on DuckDuckGo.
You know, usually artifacts come with, you know, a lot of blood in the background.
I mean, yeah, he literally has shrunken heads in there, like actual shrunken heads. He has a skull. It's a human skull that supposedly is like over 1,000 years old. There's just a lot of odd things in there. The interesting thing about the cross is that some people think that the story about it coming through World War II may be true, because there's evidence that possibly the cross was cut into pieces to be shipped over here and then reassembled when it got here.
They superglued it back together?
Yeah, basically.
Well,
Which
that kills,
apparently,
it's like mystical energies.
I don't know, but they talked to this guy who was like some kind of military something, like with like shipping and logistics, and was like, oh yeah, tons of people sent things back from World War II like that slipped through.
Like you'd think, like, you know, a cross, if it, you know, it's really like this powerful object, you know, you cut it up, some kind of fucked up shit might happen.
It's like there's like a little feather inside it, like a wand.
Oh yeah.
Like,
Well, also, if it is such an important relic, wouldn't someone higher up in the church be trying to get it back for the church?
well, the question is how many people even know this guy has it?
Well, after
You know, that's the thing, is it's like,
after
he
this is
says
published,
he will give it up if someone has an actual claim to it. But
say after this is published, a whole tens of people will know about it. So,
well, given that there are only 2 relevant results when you Google the Metamora Castle or the Healing Cross of Metamora, likely anyone interested in this castle, if they have seen this or driven by it, they're going to find us now.
I'm going to say...
And now we have combined the most information about this.
I would have to assume, you know, the Cardinal in Indianapolis probably knows about it.
Who knows?
I'm just saying, I mean, local boy.
It may not even be a Catholic church-owned cross.
Maybe not.
Might not
well, I think
matter.
you said relics were a...
Yeah, generally, but I mean, who knows?
It seems
It could have been privately owned.
It kind of seems
originally.
like a Catholic
Oh
thing.
yeah, absolutely. But
I would assume, like, you know, like the Indianapolis Cardinal would have to have some sort of idea about this.
I don't know really what the territory is of the Archdiocese of Indianapolis.
If
I would
this,
assume it's Indiana.
I doubt it.
they also would.
Could also be preoccupied with other things at the moment.
Yeah,
Yeah,
if
like
anything, this would
exorcisms.
probably be under like an Archdiocese of Cincinnati.
And, you know, like,
where it is.
Maybe.
If this cross really is like what it is, I feel like there's no way that whoever wouldn't know about it.
Maybe
I mean, maybe they do.
Maybe
Maybe
they
they
do.
just
But
don't
that's what
feel
I'm
any
like-
need to take it from them.
But,
Like,
maybe like they know about it, but then they're just kind of like, it's kind of bullshit. So just let them.
no, it's supposedly this thing has been verified to be like genuinely very old.
Okay.
And it's a legit thing. Whether or not it has healing powers,
I'm going to say, if it's
Who knows?
super old and it was taken out of Europe,
The monument.
there
then
were a lot of
saved it.
people like scoping, like I think for like 20 years after World War II, where they would take photos of pieces from museums and history that were missing, that the Nazis had stolen, and be like, yo, we got to find these. If anybody, like, they'd be scouring the globe looking for, like, they found shit in Hong Kong, they found stuff in South America, they found
The thing
stuff
is,
all
is
over
like-
the United States that we just went,
and what if this cross was something that was privately commissioned by someone wealthy who didn't make it through the war, so there's just nobody out there looking for it?
Yeah.
Who knows?
okay.
But Indiana Joe's got it.
Indiana Joe's got it.
Yeah. But I really think we should go out there.
Yeah, so who are we going to injure so that they can find out if it actually heals them?
Brian's foot hurts.
Yeah.
We're not going out now.
Sure, why not?
My foot is not going to hurt tomorrow.
We could be there and back before game night.
Yeah, but we wouldn't record anything else.
But I doubt they're open on Sundays. Yeah.
I mean, do we really have to be recording
Museum.
these on every 4 weeks? We could start like recording weekly.
Will Alicia want that?
Okay, bi-weekly.
I mean, we do something over here almost every weekend anyway.
Yeah, we do.
If we're going to do that, we have to do it over there. And we're going to hold them.
Yeah, sit on the couch and just hold the mics.
Couchcast.
Well, let's see if we just find like taller mic stands and just have them.
Stand.
It's not a-
We just stand.
No, we'd sit there, but a tall mic stand with a long arm.
See, I think that would be good, like like the video
I have an idea.
podcast.
Mm-hmm.
You
I
know,
have
because
an
then
idea.
like we'll all be in smoking jackets, huddled on the couch.
John, my idea.
Yeah.
You know how my truck has a 120 volt plug, 2 in them?
Yeah.
We do the podcast on the way down and on the way back. We set up in the truck.
That's not a bad idea, Brian.
Hell, the road noise.
No, but there is that thing I wanted to buy that
Yeah,
we
the
just
little
would
portable
plug the,
thing.
yeah, we'd plug the mics
That could
into
actually be fun. There's probably some other stuff out that way, too,
Imagine
that we
getting
could
pulled
see.
over by a state trooper on 74.
Hey,
Just loaded up like
I
that.
have like a really quiet generator. We could like record a podcast like in the woods.
And from what I can tell, this guy
Yeah, it's
is
really quiet.
totally open to interviews and publicity.
right.
There's just not a lot of people asking.
Right.
So, I mean, we would not be able to go in the castle because he doesn't own it anymore.
I mean, you can still go in.
But
it's just a
he doesn't
misdemeanor.
own it.
Yeah, it's just a misdemeanor now.
Yeah.
No.
But, I mean, it'd be really
I want to
interesting.
be in a castle.
It'd be really interesting to hear all of this from his mouth, like explained. Like,
John, how many times am I ever going to be say I assaulted a castle?
I don't know.
We can scale the walls or just go in through the front door. We can say we sieged a castle.
I mean, yeah. But
We can even take a gun.
the thing that I've kind of gotten from it is that
No. We're not going to let that hang. He wants to threaten a 70-year-old man with a gun.
The 70-year-old man doesn't own the castle. I just want to go in the castle.
yeah, a 70-year-old man
We're
doesn't
just
own the
sieging
castle.
the castle. Just because we have a gun doesn't mean anything. I have a license for that in Indiana.
Now it's a felon.
Yeah, then it's a felony.
Yeah, you're gonna go on someone's private property with a gun and the intention of laying siege to it. Yeah, you won't get shot in Indiana.
What if I get really drunk first and say I'm going to siege that
Especially
castle?
what is probably one of the smallest towns in the state.
Yeah, they're just going to look at
It's
me and go,
150 people. Everybody knows everybody,
Yeah,
and they don't know you.
they're going to look at me and go, oh, look at this prick. Look at this drunk dude over here. Just, I'm going to siege the castle. Yeah. And I go running up the hill.
Hey, we should be like Monty Python and like act like we're on horses and go.
I think
No, I'm just picturing he makes it in and someone turns around and yells, "There's a troll in the dungeon!"
from what I can tell with this guy,
There's a meth lab in the
I
castle.
think there's a combination of things going on. I think that one, he's kind of a true believer type, but also I think that he's just really trying to make a destination out of his little museum and like sell the photographs of the cross that he sells and like get people to come down to Metamora.
I want to see it.
I think he's trying to
Make
some tourist dollars for the area, because I
destination.
mean the town really is a tourist destination, and why not? It's interesting. It's getting us to want to go.
Right.
It's working.
Mhm.
But I just feel like the word hasn't gotten out enough. The idea of filming the end of the world with this Logan Mueller guy was that Robert Hendricks wanted him to help him get the word out about what's going on down there, what he has, and like about his castle and all this. So unless he's had a lot of trolls come down and harass him, I think he'd be open to talking to us.
I mean,
Because I have no intention of trying to like make him out to be a crazy person or like insult him. I just genuinely think it's really interesting. I want to talk to him.
there's a whole industry around religious tourism anyway. So
Yeah. And I don't know. It's just so weird to me. And like, it's always stuck with me. The fact that, I just drove by it that one time and I was like, what is that? Why is there a castle up there?
Mm-hmm.
And Googling it, like, upon returning home, this was years ago, and finding all this stuff, I was like, what? If I would have known all of this while I was down there in that town, oh, man.
yeah, I don't know all the details of it, but there was a structure similar to that in Peoria, Illinois.
Mm-hmm.
But it's actually older, and it has the only reason why I remember it, and I don't remember any of the details about it beyond the fact that it had gargoyles. That was my favorite thing driving past that when I was a little kid.
Maybe it's a part of the network of castles
I was
that
gonna
he
say,
mentioned.
He said that he has a network. Does he say
How
where
many?
they are?
No, there's not really any detail given. And one of the weirdest things about the hill that it's on is the hill looks artificial. It's like a perfect hill, and it's very large. very large.
I'm like, how does a hill look artificial? It's
Like,
just a mound of dirt.
It doesn't fit in with the environment around it. It just kind of pops up out of nowhere.
I cannot help but picture the Edward Scissorhands castle in like the back of the neighborhood.
Yeah.
Like you have all these colorful fairy tale houses, then you look over here and like there's just this massive castle on a hill.
I want to see if I can.
So I've never seen Edward Scissorhands.
Really?
That sounds funny.
It is funny.
But
What I love is that no one can see us right now, but Jesse still had to mime looking to the right and talking away from the microphone.
oh yeah,
He's just giving the impression.
Yeah.
I mean, when I look to my left
You're
and I talk to my
"It's
left, I
over
do
there."
that.
Right.
So yeah, this is what it looks like from the road.
It looks like someone photoshopped a castle.
Yeah,
with a
it's
Windows
so out of
95
place that
wallpaper.
it's like alarming because when you're driving down 52, you are in the middle of nowhere.
I'd love to go there.
And then you're just like, whoa, a castle,
Well, the hill
Just
doesn't
immediately
look
catches your
artificial. It just looks like they cut all the trees down. Around.
No, you'd have to drive through the area and you'd see like it really pops out. It's
I mean,
weird.
unless this whole area is flat.
Some
farm.
people say it's pretty flat there, and some people say that maybe it was a landfill at one point, but
Maybe there's a bunker
I don't know.
underneath it.
He's got it gated, and
It's a lot.
he calls it Mount Metamora.
It's a lot bigger than I expected.
There's also some strange symbols at the gates that I looked around a bit. Supposedly one of them is like an old Hebrew symbol for God, and then the other one is like some kind of symbol for Mary. It's just,
So it seems very Catholic.
yeah, the whole thing is very, and I don't even know if he is or not, but it's
It's something. Well,
it's definitely something. And
I think
it's
it'd be
like,
something cool to do on a weekend.
exactly. I think that would be just a fun little day trip. Like on a Saturday, we just go down there. It wouldn't take us long.
We could do all this and be back before dinner.
Yeah.
I wanted to do the road trip to the fudge factory, though.
Oh yeah.
The fudge factory.
Future road trip to the fudge factory in Uranus,
Really?
Missouri.
Okay.
We're going to Missouri.
To the
that's-
fudge factory in Uranus.
Oh, that's not that far either.
No,
Like,
it's
why not?
4 or 5 hours.
Maybe Brian can learn how to pack fudge in Uranus.
Ow. Gonna shoot you.
Yeah, it would be a trip just for the puns, and it would be glorious.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it'd just be a lot of fun.
Yeah, until you get all the fudge and you're getting ready to get back in the car and just stop it.
Didn't Johnny Knoxville go to Myanus? And
Yeah.
it would have been an old
It was a-
jackass.
Myanus?
They went
Yeah.
to Myanus. It's spelled, I don't remember, but he's like, there's a small dog in Myanus.
Yeah.
I'm stopping at the stop sign.
Yeah.
in
And he like goes
Myanus.
up to locals like, is there good eating here in Myanus?
That's like an episode
it's
of
so-
Jackass.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
not even
Awesome.
the movie.
That's like an old MTV episode, man.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
There's a German Shepherd in Myanus.
Those were the best Jackass.
But
There's a bunch of muscular guys in Myanus.
Well, we're also going to go to the Renaissance Fair in Ohio this fall.
I'm so pumped. I'm
Yeah,
so
I'm sure
excited.
we can really end up doing an episode about that
Is
activity.
the Oklahoma Full Auto Shoot and Trade still open this year?
What's that?
The Oklahoma Full Auto Shoot and Trade?
I have no idea.
I don't know either. I want to go though. I keep seeing videos about it.
But there was another thing I was thinking of that would be a good podcast trip recently. I don't remember what it was though. But definitely a Metamora trip we have to plan for that.
What happened to the Smoky Mountain
Go ahead
Cup?
and put that on the list.
Yeah, I mean, it'll be a good time regardless, even if we don't even get to meet him and talk to him. It'd just be a nice
there's
little
also-
time. We could still see the castle, see the museum.
You said there's a brewery down there, didn't
I said I think there is.
you? Okay.
Like there's a bunch of small little businesses there. There's like a nice little coffee shop. There's some antique stores. It's just
We'll
the
find-
old downtown Main Street
We'll find something
right
to
next to the canal. And it's just crazy to me though. There's only a population of 151.
Well, there was also that place you wanted to go where you said people will come out and chase you away.
Oh no, that's fake.
Oh, is it fake?
Yeah, that's Joppa.
Oh, okay.
Joppa is in Hendricks County, and somebody started this all with okay, so this is going to be a dual episode here. I'm just going to go ahead and talk about Joppa because I think we have time.
Joppa.
Yeah, sure, why not?
All right, so Joppa it started with a Reddit or a post in the No Sleep Reddit about somebody
like I
going
know
to Joppa.
this.
well, it was a thing that people talked about when we were in high school. It was like one of the local rumors that there was like this town of like where there was a satanic cult, and like they'll chase you out and throw rocks at your car and stuff. And it all started because there's a church in the middle of Joppa. Joppa is not a town. It's an unincorporated area of Hendricks County. And basically all that's there is this little church with a cemetery. And this church is very old, and the architecture style of it has some upside down crosses. And it's not, that's a lot of where this started, that people are like, oh, it's a satanic church. It's also not an open church, so there's nobody there. But it's owned by someone who wants it preserved and protected. So it has cameras all over the outside, and there's rumors that there are gatherings there at night where people do satanic rituals. And there is a white truck that they call the Enforcer. And if you come in and you start looking at the church, whatever, this person will run you out of town. Like, they will chase you down. And I looked into this a lot because there were so many things, like Reddit, they exaggerated it so far. They like walked into town and there was a person in a cloak in a rocking chair just sitting on a porch staring at them, and like there were like things written on the ground and like all kinds of weird stuff, and they looked in the windows and there was some kind of ritual going on in this church, and like they got taken hostage, and it's a bunch of BS. But the basic thing is I've not been there. I'm going to say that I have not been there, but I did Google Street View the whole area, which is good enough. And what I did find is that the church is owned by another church that is in Clayton, I believe. And it was their former location at one point. That was their church. They moved to a larger location, but they still own the building. And as old as it is, they want to keep it nice, keep it protected. There is a cemetery there, so there are people's graves there.
Right.
And around it are some very nice houses. Like, because this is out in the country in Hendricks County. Who can afford to live out in the country in Hendricks County? People who build giant houses on big pieces of land. And from what I've gathered is, because one of the driveways has a big white truck in it, right by the church. And from what I've gathered is that they've had enough of stupid teenagers coming out because of rumors and vandalizing the property, vandalizing this church, that they know when something's going on and they will run you out. If you're not messing around, you're just fine. Somebody on YouTube went there and got a bunch of cool drone footage of like the church and the cemetery, but they weren't harming anything, and so they were let be. It's when you come out there at night with the intention of screwing around, the Enforcer will run you out. It's a local guy who doesn't want you messing around near his property and doesn't want you messing up this church. This church, which has been burned to the ground twice.
Yeah.
But the interesting thing about it is the first time it was burned down was in the 70s. And it was burned down in the 70s over rumors that it was a satanic church where satanic rituals were going on.
So this has been a rumor for...
This rumor's been going on since the 70s, maybe earlier. And so, who knows? It could be that at one point there was some kind of like cult living in the area and this was their little like ritual place. But now I think it's being protected because the locals just don't want you screwing around. It's been burned down twice. They don't want it to happen again. They don't want that kind of trouble in their area. But it could be. It could be that there's a satanic cult there.
And maybe now the locals are just like, damn it,
But yeah, Reddit really blew that one up. And like in high school, people used to talk about it like, oh yeah, there's supposedly there's this like satanic cult like out on some country road and you can't go there. But nobody I know ever actually bothered to go there. They just talked about it. Mm-hmm. So I don't think there's anything to it.
Put it on the list. We're going to Joppa.
I mean, we could go to Joppa in 10 minutes.
Yeah, I was like,
it's literally 10 minutes from here.
It's like right over there.
Yeah, it's just that way.
Really? I was like, I've never even heard of it.
It's actually really close to your ex-girlfriend's house.
Okay.
It's actually really close to there.
Like
There's no signs that say Joppa.
You just have to know you're there.
You just have to know you're there.
Okay.
It's just like an intersection of a couple of county rods.
Yeah.
Kind of like Maplewood. Like Maplewood's
Right.
not really a town,
No.
but
Or
like we
Fayette.
know of
or even
Maplewood.
like Cartersburg, like the town of Cartersburg,
Yeah.
when really it's just Cartersburg Road and there's a bunch of people here.
Well, I mean, they do
Or-
have a park.
Or out where I grew up,
And
Yeah.
the Satanic
Flatiron.
Lodge.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say I could ricochet a 30 caliber bullet and it'd land in that town.
But yeah, it's very close to Cartersburg.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's that town that on 236 out of Brownsburg North? It's just
236 out of
267.
267
Oh,
north of
yeah.
Brownsburg?
It's north of
Fayette.
Fayette. Okay, it's just on one road.
Yeah, it's just they just have like a church and a very small used car dealer.
Oh,
No, they got a bunch of shit going up because they got the pizza shop and
Oh,
the
I
old
forgot about
gas
the pizza
station.
shop.
Yeah. It's
Yeah,
kind of.
it's like
I think
a
that's an
mile
actual
long.
town. Like,
Is it?
Yeah.
I thought that was just Fayette.
But
Well-
actually, I don't know that anyone actually has a Fayette address.
I would assume it's either
It's probably
Whitestown
all
or Brownsburg.
Whitestown
I was
or
gonna
Brownsburg
say.
addresses.
That's what I
Yeah.
was going to say.
But speaking of Whitestown,
Oh, go ahead.
Jesse and I went to the Viking Festival
Yeah,
yesterday.
we did. Oh, it was awesome.
So it was a good time.
I didn't get invited.
Bought a
You did get invited. You just didn't read your text messages.
Well, you should call me. when you
I
want
called
to
you
invite
also right when we got there.
at
Got a-
3. You sent me the text at 1.
You
I
only-
thought you guys
No,
had
I
been
sent
there.
you the text at like 11:30.
And you only live like 10, 15 minutes
I
away.
thought you guys had already been there for like 3 hours. And I was like, oh.
No.
No, they had mead. There were drinking horns to be bought. There was a blacksmith there. There was a guy with falcons. They had a keg throwing competition.
LARPers.
Live music.
Oh, yeah.
LARPers.
All
It
kinds of
was-
LARPers.
It was the best. But
They had really corny music playing, like live music, and it was a good time.
anyway, that's just I wanted to actually do an episode for once. Usually my episodes are kind of ridiculous and on a grand scale. Like it's some weird thing, I wanted to do one about something local, something that people could actually look into and be like, oh wow, not something that I've just come up with in my head, So anyway,
Have fun, everybody.